Alright guys, so I wanted to make a video on a Polygon actually. Polygon posted this recently. This is an article on spending in mobile gacha games. And it's pretty interesting because they actually use some examples from Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. It's a game I play a lot. It's a game I've invested a lot of money in, and I want to sort of talk about my stories and how like the ups and downs for me as far as Final Fantasy Brave Exvius goes. And just give my opinions. Now, you know, as you can imagine, I'm just an average Joe. I'm just an average bloke. I'm not something special. I'm not a community contributor to the game. I don't post loads of content, or I don't post any content for the game really. I just play the game, follow my favorite YouTubers on the game, and that's that. But I think it's quite interesting to discuss, and honestly, I hope that people can just get a little feeling what it's like in a spender's sort of shoes, and the situation that you can be in, and the pressures that you can be in actually. Now, I want to preface this by saying anything that I say is not directed towards one person. It's not directed straight towards Square Enix. It's not directed straight at Gumi. It's not directed at one community contributor. It's just directed in a general sense, and that's pretty important because I don't want to seem like I'm attacking someone or making someone feel guilty. The thing that you must understand is that everybody has different incomes. Everybody has different ways that they supplement the game, different ways that they deal with it. So if you are a person who spends $400-500 2 or 3 times in a month because you have that sort of income, that's awesome. It's your more power to you. If that's something you do and you're happy to throw that much money at the game, that's cool. But I want to tell you from sort of a middle income, I don't have a lot of dispensable income. Um, my situation is maybe not the same as, let's say, somebody who does a lot of streaming for the game, somebody who makes a lot of videos for the game, or somebody who just has like a higher paying job and they can afford to drop more money. Okay, so this is talking about an individual who goes by the name of Nothing024 on Reddit. Now, of course, that's not his real name. That'd be pretty stupid. But the article goes on to discuss how he was in a situation where it was his birthday, and Elsa was released into the game, and he felt like he had to get her. He had to get her. And obviously, as you would expect, he talks about the fact that basically, the banner was out for 2 weeks. He was under that pressure. He was under that time restraint of it being a limited time promotional unit, and he had to try to get it within those 2 weeks because, as we have seen with some banners that are crossover banners, it takes them a very long time to either get the licensing rights again or to even consider putting those units back in the game. I mean, the big example is the Nia banner. Now, of course, the Nia banner was really hyped. We got A2 in the global side of the game, and she's a fantastic unit. I was fortunate enough to pull 2B on a daily pull, like a lucky person, but I know that a lot of people, including myself, I spent a reasonable amount of money on the banner. I know a lot of people went pretty hard for the units, and I mean, you have the staple that people use of the pod chaining. You have obviously 2B being still a very good unit. Okay, sure, she's not used by everybody, but that's really because everybody doesn't have her. She's pretty hard to pull. 2 5 stars in the banner made it pretty hard to pull at that time, and I'm pretty sure at that time they had the 1% rate, if I'm not mistaken. Now, of course, you're welcome to correct me in that. As you can see, the patch, this patch that this individual is talking about here did have the increased rates, and it was a 1 in 400 pulls chance basically to pull for Elsa. And as you know, individual summons, they cost a roughly, they're stated here in the article, about $2.50. Um, and the crazy thing is that he charged $1,500 to get her. $1,500. Insane to think of spending that much money. Now, I'm sure there are other people, whether on Reddit, whether just in the game in general, who charge that much sometimes to pull units. And holy crap. Holy crap. So, yeah. Now, I have no problem saying I couldn't even afford to charge that much into the game. In a month, I couldn't even afford to charge that much. I don't have that much indispensable income, personally. Now, before I go further on, I'll talk about my experience, okay? I had one bad experience, one really bad experience, actually. So, I actually got myself involved in a phone contract. I got brand new phone, super happy, you know, all set up, all sorted. Now, of course, with a phone contract, you can charge um, microtransactions, you can charge in-app purchases directly to your phone bill. You know, as you guys know who have phone contracts. Now, I actually had this phone contract set up for approximately a couple of months before the Tillith banner came out. Now, everybody in the community got super hyped. Tillith is so good. She's so damn good. She's not quite as good as Ayaka, but we're going to get Ayaka X amount of months away. So Tillith is going to be the #1 now. And I loved her sprite. You know, she's still, in my opinion, she still has one of the best sprites for a healer. I just really think that she's awesome. If she got enhanced to the stage where it's competitive with Ayaka and with CG Fina, I would definitely consider using her because I just think she's just an awesome unit. And the stuff that she did at the time when she was released, the things that she could do, just like changed the game. But as many of you will have known, they made her basically a secret rainbow. It was pretty hard to pull her. She's supposed to be a 4-star. Well, she is a 4-star, but it was very hard to pull her at the time. And I kept on going, charge, charge, charge. And I kept on charging and summoning and summoning and summoning. And I got to a point where I was €300 in my bill. I was €300 in my bill, and they actually cut me. You know, they actually like wouldn't let me charge anymore because I got so far in. Because they actually thought I was spending that much in that one blast on the game. They actually thought that somebody had stolen my phone and they cut it off, so I couldn't make any more transactions. Now that's not as much as this individual here who has spent $1,500, and as you will see later on, it's a much more inflated sum. But that actually caused me a lot of problems because I couldn't afford to pay that back at the time. I just kept charging, like, you know, like this individual did. He had a way of charging over what he actually had at the time, and he was just constantly charging and charging and charging. And I did the exact same thing, and it actually caused me a problem 2 or 3 months for my bill. I actually had to try and get it sorted out, and this is the problem that you have. This is honestly a huge problem that you have. The first thing is, I mean, they talk about it here, is that we have the 3% rate. Now, it is something that I go on about a lot and I complain about a lot. But I think it warrants a complaint. Because I think if you are a decent human being, if you actually have respect for other individuals, other humans, if you actually have respect for people, I don't see how you can sit behind these type of rates, these 3% rates, with the price of Lapis. Because bear in mind, Lapis isn't cheap. Everybody knows Lapis isn't cheap. I'm pretty sure you can get about 15k, if I'm not mistaken, 15,000 Lapis. That's about 3 multi-summons approximately for $100. $100. Now, I'm no mathematician, I'm no professional with that sort of stuff, but let's say each summon is giving you a 3% chance in that summon to get a rainbow, right? Okay. So you're getting barely nothing. You're getting, is it 9% chance? Is it 9% chance? Okay, no, my mistake. So each individual summon has got a 3% chance. But you do have the 4-star guaranteed one. So you can't get 5 stars with the 4-star guaranteed one. And I really, I mean, I can't work out the exact numbers, guys, but 3% is just abysmal. To me, it's abysmal. I mean, I play another game called Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, and that has 10% rate. And sometimes you even feel like you're being scammed out of their highest tier units, their SSRs. Sometimes you still feel scammed out of that. And so, really, it comes down to the combination of the fact that actually buying the Lapis is so expensive, and then the rate is so low. And then you have statements from Gumi, you have statements on FFBE coming out saying, um, do not use third-party sellers, do not use any other services because you have the chance of being banned. Now, look at it this way. If you're somebody who has let's say if you have $200 extra money per month that you can spend in the game, okay, and you're getting approximately three multi-summons for $100. So let's say you spent all of your $200, you're getting 6 multi-summons, alright? 6 multi-summons in the whole month. Now, as we know, quite a lot, not all of them, but quite a lot of the CG units that are coming through the game are very sought after. Whether it's because the 7 stars are fantastic, which is coming up in the global version of the game, or it's because even as a 6-star they are fantastic units. A good example of this is CG Nicole, who's coming up very soon. Everybody knows who gets invested in the community and who watches YouTube and everything. They know from the Japanese side of the game, which is obviously ahead of the global side, they know that this unit is the best buffer in the game. Even in the game right now in the Japanese side, he is still the top, well, like amongst the top tier. He is very competitive even with the top tier supports. Or bards, sorry, as they would call them. And so people feel, and you know, I feel as well, a little bit pressured to pull a unit like that because I know that unit is going to be a staple unit and it's going to be something that I will be definitely wanting to invest in as far as my progression in the game goes and as far as harder content goes and XYZ, things like that. But the issue you have is Gumi likes to throw a spanner in the works, so what they'll do is they'll release a collaboration banner, or they'll release a banner that has sought after units within the same month as these CG banners. Now, for some people that's awesome, because some people really will just spend 20, 30,000 lapis every banner and really love getting new units all the time. And for those people who can afford to do that, more power to you, man, more power to you. But for like the average Joe, for the average bloke like me, it really is tough. It really is a tough situation where you have to pick and choose. Now you might say, well, of course you got to pick and choose, man. You can't have everything in the game. What the fuck are you talking about? But the issue with this is that these are gacha games. They are designed and they are focused around you summoning units. They have events that are focused on certain units giving you bonuses inside the events so you can collect the materials and the items and things that these events offer, which usually are pretty helpful. The Star Quartz, pretty helpful. Moogles, pretty helpful. I mean, you know, Moogles, for some players, Moogles are so important because of the fact that they don't use Trustmaster macros. There are some individuals who don't have Nox on their PC and don't run like 24-hour macros using all of their energy up all the time. And, you know, refreshing with Lapis and things like this. Some people just can't do that. They just, whether they don't have a PC to run run that, or whether they don't know how to set it up, or whatever it may be, they just can't do that. And these Moogles are so important to help them get Trustmaster rewards, which usually make, you know, your units and your parties much better. Now, of course, you can play free to play. You can play 100% free to play. That's cool. And they do try, in some instances, they do try to make free to play players still have reasonably competitive ways of playing the game and of enjoying the game. But you know, and I know, that my friends complain at me all the time because they talk about how I've got the new units that are doing loads of damage, that are all set up with the right equipment and things, and they're like, I don't. You know, I don't have these units, I don't have these Trustmaster rewards, and it's difficult for me to do these trials which take certain things, and you know, you have to do certain things to complete them. So the so as you can see, they talk about the 3% chance to get the rarest characters. You know that they only added the rates in this year, which yeah they did after Apple came out. Yeah, and then after this user racked up a debt in excess of $15,000. $15,000. He then came out and felt that he needed to talk about his story and try to help people. And other people have also came out, you know, and just saying that they've just spent crazy amounts of money in the game, crazy amounts. Now, from my understanding, what I've heard, and of course you can correct me if you want to, apparently they are testing in the Japanese side of the game. They're going to do a test banner to test 5% rates. Now, I could be mistaken there, guys. I could be mistaken. But I thought that I heard, well, at least I heard from somebody in the community that they are going to try and test out 5% rates. Now, apparently when they did 5% rates, well, they didn't actually. They did like a rate up banner, where your rate got better and better the more money you spent, and it was a step up banner at the same time. And apparently that went really badly for them because people were getting too many rainbows. I don't know how somebody can get too many rainbows, really. The game is so, especially when 7-star meta comes into the game, 4 to 6 stars, worthless. Absolutely worthless. They just become useless. To be honest with you, they just do, guys. I'm sorry, but they do. I mean, they can try and ability awaken these people, they can do whatever they want. But in my personal opinion, the 7-star meta will just mean it's, you know, you've got to at least have half a team of 7 stars if you want to do some of the harder content and some of the new content. Because, of course, as the new content comes, Gumi would like to make the new content harder because they want people to have a challenge, but that also means that some players just get left behind because they can't keep up with the power. You know, as Gumi goes on and goes on and goes on, they'll release stronger and stronger units to try and get you to summon for these units, and some people who can't keep up with that increase constantly will be left behind. It's just the way it is, and they'll give up on the game. They will just quit. Because how frustrating is it to sit there and try to deal with a trial that you just know you don't have the unit for? For me, for the longest time, I didn't have a strong magical unit. I just didn't. I still don't have like a Trans Terror. I have some okay units. I have Emperor. I was fortunate to pull the Summoner Rydia very recently, and she's going to be like my queen. She's going to be my Tornado Queen. You know, for some people, they just don't have units to do things that they need to do. Anyway, so as you can see, Nothing024 goes on to describe himself as a whale. Now, of course, they talk about, you know, the term whale. We know what a whale is. You know, you get your dolphin, you get your whales. I would consider myself to probably, the amount of lapis I spend, I would consider myself to be pretty whale sort of orientated now. Yeah, so, alright. Yeah, and as it obviously as it goes on to talk about, he was he was open enough to discuss the fact that it was causing some problems with his relationship and his family, and that really sucks, man. That sucks when you're in a situation where a game that you are there to invest money and time into and enjoy and have as a like a relaxation and stuff. It sucks when that becomes so when you become so engrossed in it that you're just like taking time. You know, it's causing like he said here, it's causing problems with his relationship and his family because obviously being thousands of dollars in debt is going to cause a toll on your situation. And obviously he spent a lot of time on his phone and he's tapping it. They're talking about that there. Yeah. And this is honestly, and as obviously they're talking about here, some of these banners, they're time limited. The collaboration ones, they have units in that become, as you've noticed in the past 2 or 3 months, or I have at least, and I'm sure that you have if you're paying attention. They've done a lot. Gumi have been doing a lot of buffing of units. Now you might say that's cool, and it sort of is cool, but it also causes a problem because they buff the units to become competitive with units that you've only just recently got. And then you're just like, well, why did I just get that unit if they've just now buffed this unit that's just as good or even better? I've just wasted my money like less than 6 months ago on this unit that's now going to sit in my box and do nothing, type of thing. It's okay having, for example, Tidus, or people call him Tidus. It's okay having Fravia. I mean, I have those units. I now have the Summon Irradiate. I have the new Kane that's broken because they didn't fix his frames correctly. Stuff like this. I have all of these units, and then I have a fully enhanced Eileen, who I never use. I have a fully enhanced Orlando that I never use. And I'm sat there like, why did I get some of these units and awaken them and put the time into them, and then, uh, you know, some people might say to me, well, you got them when they were really good at that time. Of course, 2 or 3 months later, they're not going to be quite as good. But I mean, it's a sad situation that within, like, even within as much as 3 months, a unit that you might have used as a staple in your party suddenly becomes an inferior unit straight away. Now, it's not that it's a bad unit, they never become awfully bad units that you would never use, but they just become inferior. And your friend list is full of other people that might have the newest units all the time, and you're sat there going, I want to chain with them, I want to do this with them, I want to do that with them. You know, it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation. Um, yeah, and obviously they talk about an old banner, but they talk about, yeah, sliding down the chute. And then they talk about the Trust Masters a little bit here. And of course, as you know, some of the units that come out, they're pretty much a staple for metas, for compositions for certain units to shine. So you get in a situation where you're like, the best option for Fravia to have two needles, she needs two needles, and that's two Trustmasters straight away. And then she needs a Genji glove, and and then she needs letter in arms. And sure, if you have all of those things, she's then a beast monster unit. And now there are two sides to that. Of course, people say, well, you've invested so much time into getting all those things, so surely, yes, she should be a good unit. But without those things, as a base unit, she's okay. She's okay. She's not something that you would ever consider using. But with those things, with all of that money, all of that time invested, then she becomes a good unit. And they're talking about here the Genji glove, which obviously is an old item. But even some players now will say to me, I have a friend especially who says to me, I'd love to pull a Gilgamesh. Now I have two of them, and I fortunately have a Genji glove already done from a long time ago. But he's still saying to me, I'd love to pull Gilgamesh. And I'm sitting there going, why would you love to? Oh, yeah, well, my bad. Because Genji glove is still so prevalent and still so used. I mean, you can use other options, but like I've said just a moment ago, they're just going to be inferior options, and people want to have units that have, the good numbers, competitive numbers as far as magic, as far as attack, as far as health, whatever it may be at the time. And they talk about spending $200 to get Luneth. Yeah, and then he talks about how the player tried, how the guy tried his best to try and hide The fact that he was summoning so much, and then his recovery and getting better. So, I mean, my final sort of notes on this, my final opinions on this, really. I just really hope that Gumi can take a look at themselves about this. I just really hope that they can talk. Is it Gumi's fault that people spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the game? No, not no, because you yourself decide how much you spend, and that's always the way it is. There may be outside sources that might sway your opinion, but honestly, it comes down to your willpower. And if you say to yourself, the units are pretty good, but I'm not really super. For example, the King's Knight or whatever the fucking banner is now, like I can't remember the exact name. It's alright, but I'm not going 30, 40,000 lapis into it. I think I spent 10,000 lapis on it, and that's still a lot of money. But I'm not going deep into it, and I don't feel the need to. If someone, even if people come and say to me that certain units are really good, I'm probably still not going to do it because I honestly am trying to focus my efforts on the important banners. And the problem that Gumi has now is that people understand and they know what's coming into the game. They understand that the 7-star meta is coming. People understand that certain CG units are going to be prevalent in the game. CG Hugh, if I'm not mistaken, is another one that a lot of people love and use, and he's like one of the gems of the game. Like I said before, CG Nicole is coming around the corner, but they also have a collab coming. So this is a big issue that people have. Some people are just going to have to choose. They're going to have to choose CG Nicole, or if this collab has some other good units that are in there as well, they're going to be like, oh, fuck, what do I choose? And that's how they get you. They get you into a situation where they just make things like over and over again. They make things just look so appealing that you end up putting yourself into a big money hole. Now, I really hope that the community can come together. I mean, like I said, I'm just a normal guy. I'm nothing special. I'm sort of a nobody in the game. But I honestly really hope that the community can come together and that they can ask the hard questions. They can either ask, whether it's throwing some questions at Gumi, Square Enix, or they can at least band together on Reddit and just ask the hard questions. Just think to yourself, should Lapis be this expensive? Should the rates be like this? Should we as a community accept the way it is? Because I've got to tell you, 3% is some of the lowest rates that I know in games. Now people will, I am sure people will say, X game, Y game, Z game, these games have worse rates. A good example of this is the new Elemental Guardians from Might and Magic, the Might and Magic Elemental Guardians game. It's a Ubisoft gacha style game, a little bit like this, the City of Opera. For their highest rate, natural 4-stars, they have a 0.6% rate. 0.6%. So yeah, just let that sink in. So I did have a little rant on Twitter about it and just sort of say I don't really understand how content creators can push and support a game like that and really say to the community, this game's awesome, guys, please try this game, that has such an awful summon rate like that. Because they have to understand, in my personal opinion, you fucking idiot. Content creators have to understand that not everybody gets supplemented. Not everybody gets donations of $1,500, or every time they stream they get about $100 of donations or whatever it may be. People don't get this. People don't get this. And I mean, yes, you can say, well, it's my job to stream. It's my job to do YouTube. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on now. Doing summon videos isn't your job. I don't personally believe doing... Sorry. I don't personally believe doing summon videos is your job. I just don't believe that at all. Now, I believe people subscribe to most people for guides, for help, for tips, for things like that. Now I believe that that's part of your job, but I believe the summon part of your job is like you going, look at all these cool units I can summon for. That's it, to me anyway. So they're really my final notes, guys. If anybody did watch this, I'm going to post it on the Reddit and see if I can get a little bit of a discussion, a little bit of back and forth between people. I'm sure some people will not agree with my opinions. I'm sure some people will just say, it's people's choices how much they spend, so shut the fuck up or whatever. That's fine. Like I've said, that's fine. But when you see some individuals like these guys who've got themselves thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, it's a real sad situation. And it's honestly fueled by the fact that, for one, Gumi, constantly buff new units that they want to release to try and get you to summon for them. For two, the second reason, the rates are abysmal. I'm sorry, 3% is a joke. Considering, now think of this, guys, think of this, okay. When the 7-star meta comes, a lot of the units that you pull, you probably want to pull 2 copies of those units for them to even become relevant. You'll pull 1 copy, and sure, you can use them as 6-star, but if you want to get the power out of them, if you want them to be like, units that are competitive and that do the job you need them to do, a lot of these units that are going to come in the future, you will need 2 copies of these units. So that puts even more pressure on you, to pull 2 copies of these units, sometimes double 5-star banners. So sometimes you can have 1 5-star that's reasonably good, and then you can have a gem. I mean, for example, this latest banner with Kane and Rydia on it, Kane is okay, and Rydia is the gem. Now, if you pull Kane, it's not the end of the world, but, in my opinion, you want the Rydia. So you then will do 4 or 5 multi-summons, you'll crack the Kane, and you'll be like, I got a 5-star, oh, shit. You know how it is, guys, I don't need to preach to you about this. I really think that they just need to look at what they're doing and think about the community, because I gotta tell you, man, when 7-star comes, holy shit. The amount of money it's gonna cost you to keep up with 7-star meta, especially. And remember the fact that super TMRs are coming, which also are just like, as far as obtaining those, I know they're supposed to be like exclusive, super powerful things, but as far as obtaining those, it's just a joke. It's a fucking joke. 4 copies of the same unit. 4 copies of the same unit. So yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I really hope that this was just some rambling that you got to listen to. Like I said, I'm going to post it on the Reddit and hopefully get a discussion about it. If you don't like my opinion, it's cool. If you think I'm being a bit unfair by sort of partially blaming the content creators in the way that they, almost advertise for Square Enix and for Gumi sometimes with the game, and push out these. I really like this unit. Don't summon on it, but I really like it, and I'm going to do summons and show you all the hype of summons. I mean, it's like saying, don't do these drugs, but I'm doing these drugs because they're really good. He's out there like, I know I shouldn't do that, but look how much fun he's having with it. It's, I don't know. It's just my rambles. Have a nice day, guys. Thank you.